Hi everyone, my name's Luke. This is my dad, also known as Shane Dowling, who works at City of Swan Libraries, and this is my sister.
Hi.
Lily.
Yeah.
And we are reading, this is part 3 of our reading of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, also called There and Back Again. We got up to the point where they are having a party, except that Bilbo really wasn't expecting anyone to come over except Gandalf. There's a whole bunch of dwarves have arrived, and finally Gandalf arrives, leaning on his staff, laughing. He knocks on the door and knocked out the secret mark that he had put there the morning before. Carefully, carefully, he said. It's not like you, Bilbo, to keep friends waiting on the mat. And then open the door like a popgun. Let me introduce Bifur, Bofur, Bombur, and especially Thorin. At your service, said Bifur, Bofur, and Bombur, standing in a row. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods and a pale green one, and also a sky blue one with a long silver tassel. This last belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf. In fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, who was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Bifur, Bofur, and Bombur on top of him. For one thing, Bombur was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty and said nothing about service. But poor Mr. Baggins said he was sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Pray don't mention it," and stopped frowning. Now we are all here, said Gandalf, looking at the row of 13 hoods. The best detachable party hoods, and his own hat hanging on the pegs. Quite a merry gathering. I hope there's something left for the latecomers to eat and drink. What's that? Tea? No, thank you. A little red wine, I think, for me. And for me, said Thorin. And raspberry jam and apple tart, said Bifur. And mince pies and cheese, said Bofur. And pork pie and salad, said Bombur. And more cakes and ale and coffee, if you don't mind, called the other dwarves through the door. Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow, Gandalf called after him, as the hobbits stumped off to the pantries. And just bring out the cold chicken and pickles. Seems to know as much about the inside of my larders as I do myself, thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed, and was beginning to wonder whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his house. By the time he'd got all the bottles and dishes and knives and forks and glasses and plates and spoons and things piled up on big trays, he was getting very hot and red in the face and annoyed. Okay, whose turn?
Well, you can go next this time.
All right.
And I'm not going to sing.
No, it's all right. I'll sing.
It's actually a song, so. Okay.
Confusticate and bebother these dwarves,
Okay, you say that.
he said aloud.
Why don't they come and lend a hand? Lo and beyond.
Lo and behold.
There stood Balin and Dwalin at the door of the kitchen, and Billy and Killy behind them. And before he could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlour and set out everything afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the pantry with the 13 dwarves all around, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. His appetite was quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary and not in the least an adventure, the dwarves ate and talked, and time got on. At last they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. I suppose you will all stay to supper, he said in the politest, unpressing tones. Of course, said Thorin. And after we shan't get through the business till late, and we must have some music first. Now to clear up. Thereupon the 12 dwarfs, not Thorin, he was too important and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all the things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing volumes of plates, each with a bottle on the top, with one hand, while the hobbit ran after them, almost squeaking with fright. Please be careful, and please don't trouble.
Yeah, please don't make trouble.
I can manage, but the dwarves only started to sing.
Okay, so apparently I am doing the singing bit, but you guys can join in when I point. Yeah, because there's one line that we all have to sing together. Okay? Chip the glasses and crack the plates, blunt the knives and bend the forks. This is the one we sing together. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Smash the bottles and burn the corks. Cut the cloth and tread on the fat. Pour the milk on the pantry floor. Leave the bones on the bedroom mat. Splash the wine on every door. Dump the crocs in a boiling bowl. Pound them up with a thumping pole. And when you're finished, if any are whole, send them down the hall to roll. Ready? That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So carefully with the plates. Yay. Okay, I think it's Luke's turn. Don't worry about Jake, we're on camera.
You always did that one.
And of course, they did none of these dreadful things, and everything was cleaned and put away safe as quick as lightning, while the hobbit was turning around and round in the middle of the kitchen, trying to see what they were doing. Then they went back and found Thorin with his feet under the fender smoking a pipe. He was blowing the most enormous smoke rings, and wherever he told one to go, it went up the chimney or behind the clock on the mantelpiece, or under the table, or around and around the ceiling. But wherever it went, it was not quick enough to escape Gandalf. Pop! He sent a small smoke ring from his short clay pipe straight through each one of Thorin's. Then Gandalf's smoke rings would go green and come back to hover over the wizard's head. He had a cloud of them about him already, and in the dim light it made him look strange and sorcerous. Bilbo stood still and watched. He loved smoke rings, and then he blushed to think of how proud he had been yesterday morning of all the smoke rings he had sent up to the wind over the hill. Now for some music, said Thorin. Bring out the instruments. Killy and Philly rushed for their bags and brought back little fiddles. Dory, Nori, and Ori brought out flutes from somewhere inside their coats. Bomba produced a drum from the hall. Bifur and Bofa went out too, and came back with clarinets that they had left among the walking sticks. Dwalin and Balin said, Excuse me, I've left mine on the porch. Just bring mine in with you, said Thorin. They came back with
viols. They're like a little bit bigger than a violin.
With viols as big as themselves, and with Thorin's harp wrapped in a green cloth. It was a beautiful golden harp, and when Thorin struck it, the music began all at once, so sudden and sweet that Bilbo forgot everything else, and was swept away into the dark lands under the strange moons, far over the water and very far from his hobbit hole under the hill. The dark came into the room from a little window that opened the side of the hill. The firelight flickered. It was April, and still they played on, while the shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. The dark filled all the room, and the fire died down, and the shadows were lost, and still they played on, and suddenly first one and then another began to sing as they played, deep-throated singing of the dwarves in the deep places of their ancient homes. And this is like a fragment of their song, if it can be like their song without the music.
Okay.
Are
And Daddy gets to sing
I got
again.
really confused.
Now you guys can join me if you want. This one's a little bit more solemn. Okay. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to seek the pale enchanted gold. The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells, in places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow halls beneath the fells. For ancient king and elvish lord, there may a gleaming golden hoard they shaped and wrought, and light they court, to hide in gems on hilts of sword. On silver necklaces they strung the flowering stars, on crowns they hung the dragon fire, in twisted wire they meshed the light of moon and sun. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to claim our long forgotten gold. Goblets they carved there for themselves, and harps of gold where no man delves. There lay they long, and many a song was sung unheard by men or elves. The hinds were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night. The fire was red, its flaming spread, the trees like torches blaze with light. The bells were ringing in the dale, and men looked up with faces pale. Then dragon's ire, more fierce than fire, laid low their towers and houses frail. The mountains smoked beneath the moon, the dwarves they heard the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to dying fall, beneath his feet, beneath the moon. Far over the misty mountains grim, to dungeons deep and caverns dim, we must away ere break of day, to win our hearts and gold from him. Thank you everybody for listening to our song and our story, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's 14 minutes. Good night everybody.
Good night.